Bugsnax is a weird game, with collectible snack-insect hybrids, quirky characters known as grumpuses, and a story that certainly goes places.
Put simply, I'm going to remove my head.
And along with it, a passionate fan base, including a robust Bugsnax speedrunning community. Today, in this video, I'll be exploring one of the many speedrun categories within Bugsnax, the All Bosses speedrun, with the goal to beat the game's 4 legendary Bugsnax bosses. And speedrunners accomplish this through some interesting tricks. The first few levels of the run are the same as the any percent route. There are a few videos that explain the basic any percent speedrun already, so this video will more so focus on the parts unique to the All Bosses category. Unfortunately, the beginning cutscene is not skippable, but it luckily doesn't last too long. We get knocked out of our ship by a Maza, who will actually be a boss we need to defeat later. Now we're sprinting through the tutorial level, jumping along trees, and running across invisible walls. I'm actually quite surprised these exploits got kept in the game, but I guess the developers don't mind speedrunning and just wanted to make a fun experience, which I can appreciate. We're skipping an entire cutscene by using this path, and we are also completely ignoring Filbo. We jump up a wall and continue until we land in the loading zone for Garden Grove, completing the first level in under a minute. Now we're in Garden Grove, and like I said earlier, I'm going to be brushing over some of these parts as they're included in the any percent route. However, I would like to show you this trick, which you might not have seen before. By setting the snack trap during this cutscene, we'll actually be capturing a fighter from beneath the ground so that we can use it to feed Wambus later. Right now, we're mashing through all this dialogue with Filbo and Wambus, which is a shame because I think the writing in this game is hilarious, but for the sake of the speedrun, we won't be hearing most of it. After Wambus gives us the Sauce Slinger, we'll be using a variety of tricks to swiftly acquire the Bugsnax we'll need for the tutorial quests. All of the tricks are quite difficult, requiring a lot of practice, but at least they're at the beginning of the speedrun, so resetting isn't as painful. Now we're feeding all the Bugsnax to Wambus, and he'll knock down a log to allow us to cross to Beffica. While Beffica teases Filbo about his male pattern baldness, we take the journal we need early. Beffica will teach us how to use the journal, but as a speedrunner, we're already well aware of how to use it, so we just skip all of it and move on to the next level.
See, yeah.
Let's get this over with.
Now for the next 15 minutes, we'll be setting up what we need to defeat all the bosses, including the first one, Maza. Here's a checklist. It contains every Grumpus we need to get back to Snaxburg before we can complete the speedrun. This especially pertains to the fourth and final boss, who can only be defeated after everyone has returned to the village. We've already got Filbo and Wambus to Snaxburg, and we'll use some game-breaking tricks to fill in the rest. We're interviewing Filbo right now, and we'll need to interview mostly everybody to unlock the quests required to activate the bosses. After his interview, we finally deviate from the any percent route, heading towards Simmering Springs. But plot twist, we're actually going around this fence to make our way towards Scorched Gorge, which we're not supposed to unlock until much later. When we perform this skip, we automatically acquire Beffica and Gramble to Snaxburg, very helpful for the speedrun. We're making our way to the sleazy businessman Cromo, who is going to insist we test out his lunch pad tool, but we're going to be the ones scamming him because we're going to use it to leap across his gap. I missed the trick a few times, but eventually get it, and now we're already in the next level, Sizzlin' Sands, saving tons of time by not needing to complete any quest to unlock it. This acquires 4 more Grumpuses to Snaxburg, but there are some characters who cannot be acquired using skips. For example, Shelda, who requires us to complete 4 trials for her to return to Snaxburg. This makes the level quite difficult as we're trying to complete 4 quests in just 3 minutes. Here's a checklist of the quests we need to complete. First, we need to explode 2 Picantuses, so we're launching them into a neighboring pond. While doing this quest, we also throw an egg at a Picantus because we need to explode 2 of those as well. So in the first 30 seconds, we're already completing 2 quests. But it gets more complicated. While the Picantuses explode, we're going to grab some hot sauce because we'll need it to attract a Buffalocust. You don't actually need the Buffalocust until much later, but we'll get to that. For now, we're slinging this hot sauce on an egg, which will cause a flaming Bugsnax to throw itself at it, making the second egg explode. Now, while waiting for that to happen, we throw a Bugsnax into a hole to create an opening. You'll see how that helps us in a moment. By now, the Bacantuses and eggs have exploded, but we still need this Buffalocust, so I set up a launch pad to fling it into the pond as well. The Buffalocust is a little far, so I coax it over with a buggy ball. The scene around us is quite chaotic. A Bugsnax even throws me in the air, but I try to ignore it to hit this semi-precise timing. We hit the timing, and after a little bit of fumbling on my part, we'll catch the Buffalocust. However, we still have 2 more quests to get through. Next, we need to guide a Razbee out of this cave. We collect some chocolate, and I also catch 2 Enchiritos to feed Chandlo later. Next, I'll begin to guide the Razbee through the cave, exploiting its love for chocolate by covering the buggy ball in the sauce. We need to keep our distance from the Razbee so we don't scare it, but we also can't be too fast or the Razbee will lose interest. So this part is a very delicate balance. But we will eventually get to the end of the cave, and we'll guide the Razbee to the exit. With that being done, we only need to acquire some cheese, and luckily for us, there's cheese sauce right next to the cave. After all of that, we finally now talk to Shelda. We mash through her dialogue, completing all 4 missions in quick succession. With that done, we now have Shelda at our camp with only 2 Grumpuses remaining. Now we're running across the desert to reach the secret entrance into Boiling Bay. We solve the puzzle to open it, go through the passage, and with that, the most complicated level of the speedrun is done. First things first, we need a strudler to feed Floofty, so we're guiding it with cheese to an icy Bugsnax to make it catchable. And to be honest, I think you could also blindly guide me anywhere with cheese. I'm not sure how anyone could not like cheese unless you're lactose intolerant or something. Anyways, we intentionally set ourselves on fire here because it makes your movement speed a little faster. Now we need to catch 2 snacks for Floofty's quest, as they, like Shelda, cannot be acquired through skips. We need a Banopper and a Cocomite, so I'm setting up some traps to catch both of them. This could be a pretty frustrating part of the speedrun as the Banopper's patterns are random, but we get super lucky here and a play toss even takes care of the Cocomite for us, which is really fast. We make our way to Floofty and finish all their quests in a row just like Shelda, helping them in their experiments by transforming their arms and legs into different Bugsnax. This will convince Floofty to return to Snacksburg, and Wiggles automatically gets added when you enter Boiling Bay, so we now have every Grumpus back in Snacksburg. To complete the level, we're gonna run over to collect Elizabeth's notes, which we'll need to defeat a boss later. With this, we've completed Boiling Bay, and the next part is a little unorthodox. You might think we go straight to Snacksburg to start some quests, but none of the work we've done for the last 5 minutes will count unless we enter Snacksburg through a specific path. I'm not sure why this is, but we go back to Sizzling Sands and Scorch Gorge before finally making our way back to Snacksburg. Now we'll be subjected to a bombardment of interviews with various Grumpuses. These interviews either give us important key items to complete Eggabell's quests, or are needed to start quests that will allow us to defeat the 4 bosses. Now, I know what you're thinking. We're 10 minutes into this all bosses run, and we haven't defeated a single one. Well, don't worry, because after interviewing Cromo, we'll finally be able to go through his quest line, which will eventually lead us to the first fight with Maza. At first, Cromo tries to use the Buffalocust we caught earlier to trick Triffany, attempting to trade it for a map to where the legendary Maza is, but she doesn't fall for it, so he convinces us to steal the map instead while they're sleeping. Now, I'm not sure what jurisdiction Snacktooth Island falls under, but I'm almost certain we're committing a crime and a violation of this couple's privacy, but we do the dirty work and now we know the location of Maza. However, Cromo is programmed to only give us the quest after we've progressed further in the game, so first we quickly get some Sandopedes, which serve the dual purpose of feeding both Wiggles and Chandlo later. We get back to Snacksburg and activate a dialogue between Chandlo and Shelda. Chandlo seeks wisdom from Shelda, but misinterprets her advice, and he'll decide to go on a Bugsnax spree. We interview Chandlo real quick as he is also connected to a boss, and we can finally speak to Cromo again as he's ready to go to the Sizzling Sands to help us defeat the first boss, Maza. We run across the desert, but we have to wait for Cromo to catch up with us. If you're enjoying the video so far, I would greatly appreciate a like as it helps my video in the algorithm, and promoting my video means I'll be able to make more niche speedrun content. We have to wait for Cromo to flip a switch. This would have been a lot easier if we could have flipped the switch ourselves, but maybe it only accepts people who are truly worthy, like the honest and humble Cromo. Anyways, Cromo flips the switch, and after a brief cutscene, we grab a Bombino, which will be our primary weapon against the legendary Maza. And finally, after 15 minutes, we see our first boss, Maza. And right off the bat, we get some unfortunately bad RNG, as the Bombino we need is launched as far as it could have been. I remember my face getting hot after this, but in these moments of a speedrun, you need to stay calm. Even if you're losing time now, if there's the chance to gain it back later, you should try your best with the luck given. Making my way back to the Maza, it's in the perfect position to attack, so I launch the Bombino at it and deal the first of 3 hits needed to defeat it. The game cuts us some slack because another Bombino is right next to us, so I pick it up and use it to attack the Maza for a second time. I try to grab another one, but just as my snack grabber touches it, the Bombino gets set on fire, so I lose some time from that. But after a bit of searching, I find another one and we use it for the final hit on Maza. And with that, we've defeated the first Bugsnax boss. We feed Cromo, the boss, and move on to the next segment. Before anything else, I take the advantage to collect a Bugsnax in Scorch Gorge for a later Wiggles quest, but I realized I was at the wrong time to get that specific snack, so I quickly went to sleep until midnight and then I got it. Another small time loss, but we'll make it up later. Now we're making our way towards Chandlo because the next boss to defeat will require his assistance. He'll ask us to feed him some snacks because he wants to get stronger, but when that doesn't work, he's gonna ask us to drop some weights on his head. And while I respect the grind, these hanging weights are not only a danger to you, Chandlo, but to all the other Grumpuses in Snaxburg. After this gross negligence, Chandlo still feels unsatisfied with his strength and asks us to come help him defeat a huge Bugsnax. We've gotta wait here for Chandlo first to catch up. I guess he's more focused on his strength training than his cardio, but once we're inside, we see her, the Mama Melwin, and this is likely the easiest boss in the whole speedrun. All you need to do is trap one of her baby balls, and she'll throw herself underneath a stalagmite. We do this 4 times, and we have now defeated the second boss of Bugsnax. You may be wondering about the moral implications of leaving a dozen children orphaned without their watermelon mother, but do you really think speedrunners care about morality? Now we're back in Snaxburg because we need to talk to Wiggles. Wiggles will lead us to our third boss, Maki. She wants us to feed her snacks to inspire her to write a new song. Now, I'll be honest, Wiggles is one of my least favorite Grumpuses. I sympathize that she feels like a one-hit wonder, but every time you speak to her, she insists on singing, which becomes incredibly grating. But we do need her to defeat Maki, so for the sake of the speedrun, I will agree to a truce with Wiggles. After feeding Wiggles, she will not yet be finished writing her song, and won't give us the Maki quest until we progress further in the game. We use this as an opportunity to do Eggabell's quest, which we need to do for the 4th boss. We just talked to Chandlo and Snorpy for a second to close out Chandlo's quest, and now we're heading towards Frosted Peak, where Eggabell has been hiding this whole time. We enter the level, but before running to Eggabell, we need to capture a Sodi, because we needed to solve a puzzle for Eggabell's quest. We find Eggabell inside the mountain, and we're mashing through her dialogue. It's supposed to be this big moment, as for most of the game, we weren't sure if she was alive. But like everyone else, we don't get to hear her dialogue, and we begin to climb up the mountain. This is because we need 2 more Bugsnax, a Strudler and a Chili Nilly. Along with the Sodi, these Bugsnax will allow us to activate the door into the mountain. More helpful to the speedrun, it allows us to advance Eggabell's quest line. Completing her quest means Wiggles' quest will be activated, but before that, we restart the level so we can capture a Scoopy Banoopy, which will feed to Snorpy to advance his quest. Yes, I realize all of that is quite complicated, but in speedrunning, you have to be as efficient as possible. Snorpy will eventually get us to the 4th boss, so we're getting him out of the way to be able to take it on later. He asks us to light up Snaxburg to ward off the Grumpinati, who Snorpy believes to be a serious threat. We set ourselves on fire to run faster and to light the flares with our own body. We light up the remaining flares, staying away from Chandlo to prevent activating his dialogue, and we return to Snorpy to complete the quest.
Excellent. Yes, you let one out.
Now we finally run back to Wiggles to activate the third boss, Mega Maki, which takes place in Boiling Bay. Wiggles wants to eat the Mega Maki as a last-ditch effort to find inspiration for her song, and in classic Wiggles fashion, she has the longest unskippable cutscene in the game.
Oh, please! Ancient Bugsnax!
Wiggles will sing for a full straight minute because she thinks it will attract the legendary Mega Maki. This somehow works as the Mega Maki erupts from the sea in response to Wiggles' incessant singing. Now, this boss is the most inconsistent in the speedrun. To defeat it, we need to hit it in our trap 3 times, each time grabbing parts of its body, which is made up of smaller mini Makis. The reason this fight can be difficult to speedrun is because the Mega Maki will throw out a bunch of these orange balls at you randomly. So you could be setting up a trap, and suddenly the pole you're using gets completely destroyed, and you have to try again. This does happen once in my run, but overall the Mega Maki fight was okay. When all of the mini Makis are disposed of, we feed Wiggles the Mega Maki and move on to the fourth and final boss. We arrive back in Snacksburg and first talk to Filbo. Now, Filbo doesn't have a boss for us to defeat, but we do need him to complete Eggabell's quest. Once this quest is complete, we'll be able to activate the last boss of the game. Unfortunately, none of this walking section can be skipped, so we're forced to slowly tread across the snow until we reach the door. Eggabell and Filbo will try to open it as we just watch, I guess, but the two are almost crushed by rocks as they did the puzzle wrong. Eggabell is quite torn up about it and says she's the reason that Elizabeth is missing. Very sad, but we are a speedrunner, so instead of helping her, we go back to Snacksburg to speak to the Giga Chad, Snorpy. Snorpy will inform us about some seismic readings in Frosted Peak, and we're obliged to find the mysterious cause of the signal. Once we get to this cave, I immediately set myself on fire because I'm gonna light up this birthday candle, activating the final boss, Daddy Cake Legs. Cake Legs has 3 phases, and in each one we have to light up the birthday candles on its body. Throughout the fight, I switch between trying to light them up with my body and with my trip shot. Admittingly, I could have been a little faster in this first phase, but we'll make it up in the rest of the fight. In the second phase, I do the same thing as the first one and set the candle on fire, and I happen to catch another one of those candles as I'm falling down. So after just one trip shot, the second phase is finished and we're on to the final phase already. We fire the trip shot one final time, and this candle lights up, defeating him once and for all. We grab the Daddy Cake Legs, feed it to Snorpy. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but it doesn't matter, I guess. Just a rare glitch that doesn't affect the run too much, luckily. And with that, we've defeated all the bosses in Bugsnax. However, the official speedrun still calls for us to complete the game before our timer ends. Like the beginning, I'll brush over these last few segments as they're part of every Bugsnax run. Maybe someday I'll make an any percent video covering these sections myself, but for now, I'll be glossing over them. We drop into the Undersnacks, where we find Filbo, and after traveling through a tunnel of food, we make our way towards Lizbert, who has become the queen of Bugsnax. Lizbert reveals the truth of Bugsnax, and with help from Eggabell, we are launched back to Flavor Falls to evacuate everyone from the island. Once we make it back to Snacksburg, the entire village is in chaos because of out-of-control Bugsnax. Speedrunners call this section the Gauntlet, and it consists of 6 phases, where in each one we help a different set of Grumpuses in their escape. As far as gauntlets go, the one in this run was pretty average. I didn't make any huge mistakes, but you could still maybe save 10 seconds here on my run. Once all the Grumpuses get on the ship, we fly away from the island to safety. On the beach, we run past all the Grumpuses and speak directly to Filbo. We tell him we're ready to leave and head back towards civilization. We speak to our boss, Clumpy, who tells us that we are fired and legally dead. It's some kind of cover-up for a conspiracy, don't worry about it. Filbo gives us a reassuring smile, and with that, the credits roll and we've officially completed the Bugsnax All Bosses speedrun. So, what do I think of the speedrun? Well, it's a bit of an odd category, but I think it has some merit to it. The any percent speedrun is short but very competitive, and the 100% speedrun is nearly 2 hours long, so the All Bosses speedrun acts as a healthy middle option. I would recommend this category if you want a challenging run, but don't want to spend months to get a world record. It's very possible to beat my time, but I think you'll need some big changes for a sub 40-minute speedrun. Thank you for watching the video, comment your favorite Grumpus below, and I'll see you in the next speedrun.